Hello, welcome to Mart's Garage. Today I'm going to start looking at making a baffle for the sump for the oil pan. You can see roughly where the oil pump sits because of the shape of the pan. This is a new old stock 59A type pump or earlier. What I thought I would do is make a little plate or something, or even a piece of plywood that will locate the pump in the right place like that. Then I'll fit the other pump that I've got, and then I can work out where the baffles want to go. And what I've just done is took this piece of cereal packet, I punched a hole in it like that, and I've kind of did the old press it into place thing. So now there's an imprint of the block face on this piece of cardboard, including where the holes are, there and there. It's a little bit faint, you might not be able to see it, but I can see it. So, and the hole where the oil pump goes, of course. So that hole, and this hole, and that hole are all I need really, because what I can do then, I can cut a piece of plate out, put it on there, fit the oil pump, and Bob's your uncle. I just set up a hole saw in the milling machine and put the paper template on there and drilled a hole. It's a little bit undersized, so it will take a bit of filing, but I have drilled that hole. This is a piece of plate, I'm not sure how thick it is, probably like 16 gauge, might be a bit thicker than that, might be 14 gauge. So I've drilled the big hole, so I think what I might as well do is drill the other holes while I'm set up here. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, a tiny bit out, you know, 16th out either way. It's only to get the rough position of the pump in the oil pan. Okay, I'll bring it back when I've got this piece of metal sorted out. Back in a bit. I've lost the position. I've got one hole there, and there's another hole here. And there's another hole over there somewhere, but I'm not sure where it is. It wasn't marked well enough, but it doesn't matter. I'll drill those two, then I'll go and find the position of the other hole. I cut around the things and took the paper piece, the cardboard piece, over to the block and got a position for the hole there just by tapping it with a ball peen hammer. So I'm going to drill that through now. Hello. Right, I finished cutting out the piece of sheet metal, a couple of bolts in there, bolt there, and the oil pump is fixed in place in a approximation of where it would go normally. But that's given me my sort of base position for a baffle. So it's just a case of cutting pieces of cardboard now, transferring those to metal, and welding them in. That was an interesting little mini project though. It's, you know, a handy little device to enable this sort of work to be done. And you can see the remnants of a baffle there, and the remnants of a tack weld there. A complication with this job is that this is tapered, so it's hard to put something in, and obviously you have to be able to fit the oil pan over the pump, so it has to be able to clear that there. Okay, I'm kind of formulating a few ideas in my mind. Okay, I'll bring it back when there's more to show. I have came up with a baffle, cut it out in metal, and that's what I'm going to do. I've just stood it up on some nuts there. Those are 7/16 UNC nuts, so I don't know, they're about 3/8 thick. So I can just put a couple of tacks on each end there. I think I'll reform this end a little bit. I'll put a couple of tacks on there and a couple of tacks on there. I think I'll call that good. I think I'll just revise the shape a bit, make this angle slightly less to push it over there so that I can bend that piece, you know, more of a 90. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, right, I've just done the welding. Not my prettiest, but you know, it's in there, and it's all, took all the paint off it and it's all in place, so it's quite sturdy now it's in there. It's just a variation on a theme. I don't know anything that would be better, so I'm not going to add other things. This oil pan came from the engine that was in that car there, the Roadster, and I raced it at the drags, I've raced it on the beach, and I raced it at Prescott, and I never had any problems, and that was actually without a baffle. So I've reinstated a baffle that's similar to stock, so I hope that that will at least not be any worse than the previous situation. What I'm aware of is there's a little bit of a gap. I can kind of get my finger in, so it's probably about 3/8 of an inch between this and the oil pan. So I need to make sure I maintain a decent level. Okay, that's a quick job. This plate that I made was very useful, well worth the effort. Hole saw, a bit of filing, 3 holes drilled with a, you know, just drilled, and it holds the oil pump in the right place. So that'll be handy in case I have to do the job again. I've got another oil pan that doesn't have a baffle, so I can do the same job again, because you need to do it specifically for each individual oil pickup. You know, they can be different. For instance, this oil pump has, you know, has it would probably suit that one as well because it's similar, but the other one I had it further forward, and I had to move the stock baffle. So, but I think that's a job well done. Okay, thank you very much for joining me in the garage then. It's always a pleasure having a bit of company. Cheers then, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Hello. I've been working on my engine, and I was all about ready to put the oil pan on, and I suddenly realised I hadn't fitted the flywheel, and I hadn't fitted the plate behind the flywheel either. So I've just fitted the plate and put the lock wire on. I just put the flywheel on. I haven't tightened it up. I'll have to do that after. I can do that after. But I'm just going to put the gaskets in place and put the oil pan on. The oil pump is in place. I took out the stud that was there and fitted a bolt with a drilling and a bit of locking wire. So the bottom end, as far as I'm concerned now, is done, and the oil pan will go on shortly. So okay, that's a good little bit of progress. I will bring you back when there's more to show. I'm reusing these because I'm treating this just as a sort of almost like a repair job on an existing engine, and there's nothing wrong with them. I just want to make sure that that is in place down there, which it isn't. Yeah, that's better. That's tucked under now. Okay. Oil pan is going to get a quick wipe over, and then it's getting fitted. I've got the oil pan on. I put this on to ensure that the oil pan is aligned at the back, level at the back. I've done my best to get it on nice and square and straight. I had a problem where I could get a feeler gauge in between the front seal and the part that it runs on. So I had to take it off, and I've kind of had to dress the end of it a bit, squeeze it a bit to squash the oil seal, the rope seal, up and out a bit. Not great. I imagine it's something to do with the hammering that I did on the oil pan before, but it's always had a problem sealing at that front end, and it had one of those one-piece seals and it always leaked. So maybe I've distorted the oil pan a bit, but I've kind of managed to get it to, well, at least so I can't get a feeler gauge between the rope seal and the pulley. Let's just see how it goes. Okay, I haven't fixed the oil. I haven't put the flywheel on yet. It's on, but just with a couple of loose bolts, so they need tightening up. And I've got to do all the top end. Okay, I haven't put the front bolts in because I want it to kind of rest in its natural state. Can you see that this is standing off by quite a bit? And that is not quite so much, but it's standing off as well. Hang on, I'll show you from the other side. Can you see there? You can see down the bottom end there just quite how much it's standing off by. Now bear in mind, this hasn't got a gasket, so that's quite bad really. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fix that. What I might have to do is basically cut this off, because this isn't used anyway, and then cut around here. I don't know, maybe cut just all the way around there, or I don't know, you know, cut somewhere here, pull this down and then weld it up. I could try hammering and dollying this to stretch it, but it really has bent that, hasn't it? I don't know if I did this hot or cold. Yeah, I can see daylight through there. And even more there. Okay, so this oil pan really, well, okay, yeah, I'm not quite sure what to say about it. I wonder if I could put a big clamp on there, pulling this down, and then just heat this all up, heat all this and allow it to kind of settle down. Yeah, maybe I'll try that. Leave it with me then, and I'll bring it back when I've kind of feel like I've made some progress. Hello, right, I've bolted the sump back on, and I've got some of my milling machine clamp things and a piece left over from a bit of railway line when I made my anvils, and I've pulled these down now. This is a carver clamp that I got out of a skip, managed to free it off, get it working, and that's pulled down there, and it's almost pulled down on this side as well. Hard, yeah, it's about pulled down, but obviously when I let go of that, it'll just spring back up. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the oxy gear and I'm going to warm it all the way from here, all the way around here to there, to let this front piece relax into its clamped position. Okay, well you just saw what I did. The question will be, what will it do when I release it? But I think it will be better than it was, and as long as it's better than it was, it will probably be good enough. I'll let it cool down before I take the clamp off. I was given that block. It was stripped down probably 20 years ago, and it was probably cleaned and then stored, but it was stored in, you know, just a normal shed or garage with no protection from moisture, and unfortunately it's just scrap now. But at least I've been able to use it for this. I offered it to people for yard art, but nobody wanted to take it. I'm not going to send it to scrap though. There's still a gap. Still a gap. Not as big a gap though, I suppose you would say. Still a gap though, isn't there? I mean, I suppose, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put the front bolts in. This side ain't so bad. Just trying to get you lined up with the daylight there. I'll put these front bolts in now and see what it looks like. I think that might be okay. You can't really see anything this side, and you can see a tiny bit that side, but that's probably within the realms of what you can take up with a gasket. I might try and just dress that area there down. Yeah, I think that'll be alright now. I mean, I know it's not much of a thing, but you know, to judge, but that looks better. But do bear in mind that there needs to be a gasket here now. But I think the oil seal will take that up. I think that'll be okay. You just see a little bit of daylight. A lot less than it was. I think it could still come down a bit, but you know, how much can you force it? I'll leave it at that then, and I'll bring you back when I've got everything back together. I've put some new gaskets in place. I'm using these studs to just get the gaskets positioned. I've got to put the one in place there, and what I've done, I've put it in this sticky adhesive tape tube to kind of preform a bend in it. I don't know how long I'd need to leave it like that for, but I just did that. It's probably been in there about an hour. The last one I did, I put it in a mug and it worked quite well. I think I left it, you know, overnight or something, and it worked quite well. Hello. I've just fitted the oil pan to the motor, and well, let me just show you. I can still get a feeler gauge down there after all that work. So what I think I'm going to do is I'll take it off once more quickly, and I'll just put some gasket material in the bottom of the groove, a couple of 3 pieces of gasket material to just pack the oil seal, the rope out a bit. Can't think of anything else now. I was quite pleased because when I was tightening these down, you could see the gasket hairs being squashed out. So I think it's a lot better than it was. Just needs a tiny bit more help. I've just cut 3 pieces of gasket material there, and I'm going to put them in there like that. A small one, a slightly bigger one, then a big one, so they go into there and just fill the gap up a bit. Then I'll put the seal back in. Okay, I've buttoned all the pan back down. I put those 3 pieces of gasket material down there. That gasket material is 0.4 of a millimetre. And now I can't put my feeler in there. So that was a lot of hard work, wasn't it? Okay, so I'll just the gasket is nicely tight as well. I haven't gone mad with the bolts, you know, just used that short little ratchet, this little 1/4 inch drive ratchet, so I've not murdered them, and they're hopefully that'll have a chance of being okay now. I need to just make sure there's no material there, so when I put the pulley on it clamps up okay. There's my pulley. This is turned down from a French pulley. That's why there's this piece and then there's the piece that's on the engine already. So I need to just clean this surface here and just make sure that it goes on without getting any, you know, anything stuck in between. 2 steps backwards and 1 step forward. Okay, thanks a lot then. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Hello, just put a bit of safety wire on there. It's probably not textbook correct, but it's not bad for one of my attempts. I have bought some of these and they're a bit sort of clunky. They're not very nice to use. They're a bit tight, you see. I imagine they'll loosen up with wear, but I would imagine a really good quality set are nice to use, but I'm afraid these are just some El Cheapos off eBay. But I have been able to get something that looks at least okay. These are torqued up to 70. Okay, righto, back in a bit. Okay, my phone's making funny noises because the battery's going low. Okay, right, the pressure plate is on. The nuts are all torqued up. I'll go around and double check them though, make sure that I've got them all, because I dropped the socket on the last one. What I assume was the last one. Okay, so not looking too bad then. It's the same clutch that I was using before, which, you know, was working okay. All in all, not too bad then. Oil pan on, repaired at the front, a fix applied to the seal, flywheel on, safety wired, clutch plate on, torqued up, centered. Righto, thank you very much for joining me in the garage then. I'll have to stop filming because my phone's going flat. Okay, I'll catch you on the next one then. Bye.